Talarico, longtime supporter and volunteer of CommQuest services, and today Gloria is going to tell us more about a specific program, Samaritan's Table. But before we get into that, I will have Gloria introduce herself and her role in the community of Canton and how she got connected with what was at one time Community Services of Stark County and now CommQuest Services. Gloria?
Good. Thank you for having me here, Sarah. And the thing about me is I'm going to introduce myself, but a lot of people do know me because I'm what you call maybe a community advocate. I'm everywhere, and I am Gloria Talarico. And how did I become acquainted with Samaritan's Table and Community Services, which is now CommQuest? I probably am part of this happy family because I go way back when Dan Fuelline and Sister Susan and Sister Coletta Bast all worked together. She was over at St. John's, and George Fulton was a longtime friend of mine. So George and Dan, and at that time Debbie was here. And I was part of them because they would call over to St. John's and say, when are you having the Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner? Because we did that over there for 5 or 10 years before Samaritan's Table started. And Samaritan's Table is now 30 years old. So I'm saying going back 35 to 40 years ago, the demographics of Canton were changing, and the families were changing, and the work situation was changing, and the mills were moving on and out. And we were seeing a needier Canton. Do you see the numbers were growing? And so we were at that time meeting with the bishop, and he said, do you know that people are not only hungry on Thanksgiving and Christmas, they need a place to go. So we were given a survey, and it was a lengthy survey, and we decided what we'd like to have happening in Canton. And we did not put a soup kitchen as a priority. But the bishop looked over our list and our choices, and even though we had it checked lower, he said, I think we need to move that to the top. So that's where the Samaritan's Table and my connection with community services came in. I was not here. I was working over at St. John's with then Father Coward and now Father Klingler so graciously gives us the same location where all the people downtown can walk. And it's not only the Catholic Church, it's all the downtown churches. It's very ecumenical. And what happens is we have doctors and lawyers and priests and teachers and nurses and just Mr. and Mrs. America out of their kitchen that want to go and help and serve. Mm-hmm. And so it's become a big thing. But we did it before, and I still do Christmas and Thanksgiving, even though Samaritan's Table does not open. On those 2 days, they give the workers the time off. But what I do is I work over there half a day, and then I go with my family the other half a day. And I see that the needs are great, and they're increasing. So that's where I am with the community services in CommQuest, a longtime friend of Ray Fates, Dan Fuel, Sister Susan, who has now passed. George Fulton is in rehab right now, but he was very active with us. He's 89, and we were able to honor him and give him one of your books this year at our Samaritan's Table Appreciation Dinner. So some of the people that started it are still with us and guiding directly and indirectly.
Yes, like you said, we did just celebrate the 30th anniversary of Samaritan's Table, where we did honor people just like Gloria who have served for a number of years. Now, Gloria, how many years have you been volunteering?
Well, my husband died in 1990, so 26 years ago I decided I would take my lunch hour. I was then working with the CSE Federal Credit Union as a manager, so I could take my lunch hour whenever I wanted it. So I gave myself a 2-hour lunch hour from 11 to 1 so I could go to Samaritan's Table. And then I, of course, went in earlier, made up the time from 7 to 7. We didn't so much worry about that because it was an outreach anyway. And so that's how long I've been there. And I did not start to really go every single Thursday until after I retired in 94. So that's how long I've been with it.
And if someone were to become a volunteer at Samaritan's Table, how would they go about doing that?
Well, they do come right back to my table when they do that. We have a resource table, and we have 3 or 4 papers that they must sign, but it's only one time, like the civil rights form that we do not discriminate who volunteers, and we welcome everyone, and then we give them a description of the supposedly job duties, because we've grown so big we have to classify them, a coffee table, a beverage table, a dessert table, a salad table. It's very, very organized. So I give them that so they can read about it and tell what they would like to do, and then they take that form home with them. I give one to Sheree over here that she keeps in the Samaritan's table file. I keep one there in case something would happen. Who's the next of kin to call when you're volunteering? And many of us are older. So there's 4 papers, but they only have to do it one time. I keep one there. I give the rest to Sheree here, and she keeps the file because we have to answer for an audit.
And like you said, Samaritan's Table is very well organized. You guys have it down to a science. Can you describe when you come through those doors, what happens, how Samaritan's Table is so organized?
Yes, I'll try here. We have the front door that we have the people enter from, and we have a station there where they are counted as they come in, because we do get some subsidy for senior meals if they're over 60. So that's the only question they have to answer. No other questions asked. Are you poor? How many people are in the household? When did you last work? None of that. The doors are open. We welcome everybody for a nice warm meal. That happens at the front door. At the back door, we all come in and register at a table what station we are at. And as I spoke about some of them, there's the kitchen crew and the dessert crew and the bakery crew, and it sometimes seems that people are territorial and they want to work where they've worked the last 15 years, but we try to introduce the new volunteers and make them feel welcome. Now, I'm not going to say that they always feel that. Sometimes we have to work on that. That's why we have this organizational meeting, to keep us welcoming the new people and saying, yeah, now this crowd that you're used to working with, there's a lot there, but we need you to clean up tables, or we need you to pass out bread or crackers or beverage. And so they sign up, and it's usually very orderly, and that gives Sheree a count for the audit, and that gives every station the servers that they need to keep it all moving smoothly. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so what's the rotation like when they come through the doors? Do they sit down right away, or do they walk around to the different tables?
What they do is they only set up like so many tables in the front, and they have a flag person that as they come in, they're ushered to their table. It's not a buffet style. Mm-hmm. It's a sit down and be served. It's a very, very nutritious meal. It's fully state accredited. They have 5 or 6 courses, and they are served. They do not go through a food line. So there is direct order. Those people are led to their tables, and then they reset 2 more tables. But the people that are coming in the back door are the workers. The people that are coming in the front door are the patrons. And we'd like everyone to mingle and welcome the patrons too, so they're served in a dignified manner.
And what does a typical meal look like at Samaritan's Table? Is it prepared ahead of time or the day of?
They are really, really busy on Wednesday, like pulling the 100 pounds of pork or 600 pieces of chicken, or making sure that we have a backup in case we sell out fast. I mean, we don't sell. There's an alms jar there. I just used that term. But if we run out of food, then they have to have a backup plan. And so they're very well prepared, but there's a dedicated Wednesday crew, and it's only like a 5 or 6 people. And like if they need 600 salads, then they have this bushel of lettuce and this crate of tomatoes, and they have to cut that all up on Wednesdays. And then Thursday morning, they're prepared fresh. There's nothing made ahead on Wednesday. That they go in early and put it in the ovens and everything, but they pull all the pork apart or whatever they're having on Wednesday. So it's a very well planned. It's a well-oiled machine.
And are there other organizations that help out with Samaritan's Table outside of CommQuest that do donations for food?
Yes. And where did the funds come from? Well, it's a very limited amount of funds required, because the food bank allows us to purchase a lot of things at a very nominal fee. And if like some Panera bread is running out of things that they baked, and they have them left from the end of the day, and they bake a new batch right before closing, it's delivered to us on Thursday morning, because they're not allowed to put it out. And so they bring it to us, and that used to be true of Acme and Giant Eagle and many of those organizations. And then the farms. There was a couple farm places, and they would all summer long bring in corn on the cob and peppers and all fresh. And then what we don't use in the kitchen, we bag up and give the people to take home, because we can't keep some of that stuff from week to week. By the food laws, we're not allowed to, and so they put in the coolers what they can, and then the rest we leave them go home with a bag every week, so they're really ready to go.
That's great. And Meals on Wheels, are they a part of
Meals on
Samaritan's
Wheels
Table?
is a big part of it. Altman Hospital is a part of it. It's the same thing with them. If they prepare soup on a Friday for 600 people and a lot of people are discharged, they put it in the cooler and bring it to us on Wednesday, and it's still, we're within the 4-day code and so forth. So by us being on Thursday, all of that is watched.
So we are really all working together in this community to make Samaritan's Table happen. Can you tell me about the average number of people served on a Thursday?
Yes, I can. We have between 500 and 600 come every Thursday. Sometimes there's a little less, and I think the biggest day that we had in all the 26 years I've been there was like 617. And it was an August day, and the kids were all out of school, and you can't predict, from one Thursday to the other. We do notice, however, that the first Thursday of the month is slower. They get their money, people are paid, and there's not as many. But the last Thursday of the month, and particularly if there are 5 weeks in the month, it's very, very busy. So we're breaking in new volunteers, and we say, today you can observe and see what the people are and welcome them. But if you want to start working, that's the day to come and help, because that's when we have the numbers.
And as far as volunteering goes, you can volunteer as an individual like you talked about, but also organizations like schools in particular,
Right.
service hours, they can do that with Samaritan's Table as well, correct?
They do, and they go through Charest here at Community Services. They call this number because we like the schools to be rotated, so we don't have all the help at one time. So what happens is, like St. Joan of Arc might come, St. Michael's might come, North Canton might come, Louisville might come, but she rotates it so that we have the help when and as we need it. Also, Leadership Canton just went through there. They went through more as visitors, but sometimes, like Altman will take it on as a project, and they will have their newest managerial team or something come through. Same thing with one of the electrical companies. They will visit as a group, and they want to make a donation, and that happens sometimes at Christmas time where the need is so great. But yes, we welcome anybody, but they must register, so we don't have them all there at the same time, to learn and observe and help serve.
And how would you describe as a volunteer, you yourself, or as you see other volunteers come and help at Samaritan's Table, just the impact that it has on a person, not only on the volunteer, but also on the clients that we're serving?
And I love that part. I love that question the best, because I made many friends, and I see them downtown. And many of them are our wonderful patrons. And they came to me because for a while we had classes there. I was a part of the community through adult education, and I wrote to Sisters of Charity for a grant so that we could offer like GED classes before they served, like at 9 o'clock. However, the attendance fell off so poorly. We have all the materials available. I still help them, but it's not conducive for us to go down and set up for a class at 9 when we only had 1 or 2 people. But what happens is I have made, like I say, real friends through there. They came in with a look of hopelessness. That's why I love your motto here, because we do give them a sense of hope. They come to us and I say, there is help for you, but you have to help yourself. I'll give you the number, you call them, and they will work in an appointment for you. And if there is help possible, you will get it, because the emergency funds are limited. And it comes in, and there's days of the month where it's supposed to be allocated out by and so forth. So they do run out, but they come with looks of hopelessness, and people off the street have become my best friends. They don't mean to be on the street. They had a loss of job or a loss of spouse. Their situation changed. They had bankruptcy. Their house burned down. We get them for all numbers of people. The mental health institutes either merged or closed, and and situations changed, and as I told you before, demographics changed. And when there's no work, it shows in the education, it shows in the community. And we have seen those numbers grown. I don't see Samaritan's Table ever going away.
That does lead me into the next question. I was going to ask you what you foresee as the future of Samaritan's Table. I know our numbers continue to grow. Do you think they will still grow, or how do you foresee?
They will probably plateau, because one of our goals is, I've seen them increase over these years from 35 from the first year that we sat them down. The next year we were into the 200. Yes, I've seen them grow, but I think what's happening is more people are in the giving mode. And there is like Salvation Army, and there's other places, and I give them a sheet every week of other places from our resource table that they can do laundry. There's a number of services available, but we have to keep them informed and where they can eat. So I don't see Samaritan's Table growing in the way that it has, but it's plateauing, and I don't think it's going to go away because the needs are here. And as I say, the education levels in Canton are not what they should be. The job rates, the tax income from corporate taxes, it's just not here. And so I think right now that it's an ongoing thing. And I think that the fact that we keep breaking in new volunteers is good, so that it will be ongoing. You know, people like me and several other people there who give from the heart, unconditional, do not judge, because the greedy's always going to try to take from the needy. But the most of them, you know, I've heard that term, entitlement. No, the most of them are in real need. Would you find yourself going and standing in line for food just for the fun of it? You would not. So the need is out there. And as I say, I see that growing, and I see the dedicated service, because old age is a great equalizer. No matter what we did in the former years, no matter how many people we supervised or organized or bossed, supposedly you would say, we all want to reach out and give and do for someone else. And I think that you're always going to have that. And as long as we're receptive to that and people see the need, they're going to keep on giving. It's not going to go away.
And there are a lot of ways that people can give to Samaritan's Table. We talked about volunteering your time and resources, but also monetarily, if anyone wants to give a donation, they would send it to CommQuest, and they would label it as Samaritan's Table. So it would go straight into a fund to help further your ability to serve our community.
Over there.
Mm-hmm.
And when you were there, I introduced you to some of the people that are with me. And they come, like I said, from all walks of life, from all levels of giving. And the fact that they have that desire to reach out, that outreach, I think that you're going to continue to get good volunteers. I think businesses are going to keep on supporting it. I think the numbers are there because of who we are and where we are. And so I see us all doing it as long as we can.
Well, we're very lucky to have volunteers like Gloria and so many special people who over the years have just continued to serve and make Samaritan's Table what it is today. So I'm going to end with Gloria inviting you to check us out at Samaritan's Table. And just remember that hope happens here and hope happens at Samaritan's Table.
Okay, and what I'm telling everyone out there is just come any Thursday. I'm going to back it down to about like 10:30, because we do say a prayer, a group prayer together, and I think that's what you'd want to get in on too. And then we get our safety bulletin from there. They tell us anything new that's happening and where to go in case there is maybe a little skirmish taking place and maybe somebody fell. There's a lot of little important safety measures given around 10:30. So if you come in around 10:30 and come back and sign up at our table, and I will go over the papers with you, and then you stay for our prayer, and then we meet with the girl that does the distribution of duties, and she would say what you're going to do that day, and then you can come. It doesn't have to be a commitment every week. If you come as you can, it's okay. Just come and join us and we'll show you around. And you're welcome to come and see what's happening here in Canton. If it doesn't work for you, that's okay. It's not a commitment, but you come and do as you can, and you're welcome. And thank you very much, Sarah, for the opportunity for me to tell everybody out there about our wonderful program of kindness and help and hope.
Thank you.